just put the fear of life into me. Being scared hasn't stopped. I'm still scared now. Those words were, "Mr. McCormick's come back again." Was devastated. Will I be here next year? Having to discuss that and talk about that with the kids and the rest of the family was devastating. I went to the doctors for a checkup, and the doctor found a mole on my back, and from there on I went straight into dermatology to have it looked at. Me and the wife were packed up, ready to go to Devon on holiday, but we had to pop by the hospital for the results. We were called into a room to be told that the mole was a melanoma and was cancerous. Yeah. Hearing the word cancer just put the fear of life into me. Having to discuss that and talk about that with the kids and the rest of the family was devastating. Ironically, we were going on holiday that weekend, so you can imagine, the atmosphere in the house was just awful. Three days before Christmas, I was diagnosed. I actually woke up one day with a tumour the size of a tennis ball under my arm, about 10 centimetres, and I went to work thinking nothing of it. And during the day, I felt incredibly well, so I drove myself to hospital. Me and the wife were taken in to hospital waiting room, and we sat down that cancer had come back. Those words were, "Mr. McCormick's come back again." Was devastated, knowing that what the next steps were, or not knowing what the next steps were going to be. For me, I had to have immunotherapy. I had to sit on immunotherapy for a year, and the tumour under my arm that was 10 centimetres had to be removed. Processing cancer is difficult. You naturally think of that word, cancer, and it has an effect on you. For me, having cancer 3 times is, every time is hit hard, and you have what's called a scan anxiety. And scan anxiety is basically when you go in to have a scan, and then you have to wait for the results. My wife doesn't like talking about it, mainly because we just keep on bringing the same story up and reliving it. And my dad and I did a cancer research event a while back, and again, parents don't want to see their son go through cancer, or probably shield a little bit from actually understanding that the kids are going through this. I had 2 rounds of immunotherapy at the hospital and 10 rounds of immunotherapy at home, and that's difficult. That's really difficult. Not only to do, but to see the kids would come in and see me laid up having it done, and it's not a great sight. It's not a great sight to see. So my nipper was 18 and my daughter was 16, just coming out of GCSEs. Tough times, really tough times, because they don't understand it. Kids don't understand it, knowing that your dad, what dad is going through. And to be fair, we probably didn't tell them everything because we didn't want to worry them. I suppose we didn't really want to expose it to everything. And that thought, a lot of my thinking now is all about short-term goals. Cancer's changed me because I have very short-term goals for long-term gain. So I want to do things now rather than sort of later, because that fear, and it's probably for a lot of cancer patients, that fear of not knowing. And that's my demon that I've got to manage. How it's impacted me, I'd say I'm very positive. I try to be positive about how it affects me. I always try and see the good and the positive about everything. That doesn't stop you from feeling sad. Having the background of, or the backbone of having good friends, good family, a supportive wife and children has helped me through it. The word cancer for anybody is enough to scare anybody. How it affects me every day. Look, I wear an arm sleeve. I have my, I think 26 lymph nodes was taken out of my arm. There was one cancerous cell in there, and for me, that's a daily reminder of having skin cancer. And people look at me funny. They look at my arm. They can see it's bigger than the other. I get the funny looks. So if I can try and raise awareness to stop, not to stop the funny looks, but for people to understand of why, I knew I would have to wear pretty much for the rest of my life is a support bandage. And the idea is that helps compress the pressure on my arm to help the lymphatic fluid back into my body. Unfortunately, because I've got maybe 1 or 2 lymph nodes left in my arm, it's just working overtime. And the chances of it going back to normal is very slim. And I've been told pretty much that my arm sleeve will be on me for pretty much the rest of my life. So nothing's going to change for me. I'll always have it, but it's a part of me now. It's something that I suppose helps me with my identity. Embracing it is probably was one of the hardest things. And I suppose when I go to events and I see people looking at my arm, look, it affects you, because people naturally, they don't look at me, they look at my arm and judge me or look at me in a funny way. And I have to educate them as to why I have this arm sleeve. I think my background, I used to be a landscaper working outside. And for me, never used to use suntan lotion, never really understood the dangers of suntan, of the sun. And I suppose sort of 20 years ago, when I used to work outside, the awareness just wasn't there. So actually getting some guys to rub suntan lotion on your back, certainly very different to mental health these days. I like speaking to people. I like talking about my story, and my story probably resonates with a lot of builders, landscapers, people that work outside. And there's not many men that talk about being scared. And I was scared. And, yes, I've gone through it 3 times. This being scared hasn't stopped. I'm still scared now. When it's sunny, I'm suntan lotioned up. I sit under an umbrella, and when we go on holiday. So to raise awareness for other people as much as myself is a key thing to do. And the positiveness that I try to bring, it's about being able to talk about it, and that for me is it helps me. It helps me to talk about it. I think sometimes you got to try and be brave. You got to show that you're not scared. And I think the way that I come across or I try and come across, is that people can talk to me about it and have questions. Then I tend to go to a lot of events. I work within the merchant industry, and people do come up to me and ask me questions. And I think sometimes being that voice within a male-dominated industry, I've had some wonderful and great chats where people have been scared or they've had moles checked out, and I see that as a pleasure to try and help somebody else. I do a lot of work at cancer research, because the way that men talking about cancer, there's not many of us that talk about it openly, and I think that, again, we're going back to how it helps me with my own mental health, being able to be open and talk about it. It's like my own sort of way of coping. I'm very positive. I try to be positive about how it affects me. I always try and see the good and the positive about everything. That doesn't stop you from feeling sad. having the background of, or the backbone of having good friends, good family, a supportive wife and children has helped me through it. But I laughy jokey, I got, a lot of my mates are like, bloody hell, Shane, you're living the high life, or you're enjoying life. And I go like, yeah, I am. Because I used to go, I used to probably worry less now, probably in the last sort of 6 months, year. But I think I went through a right old spot of not understanding survival rates and all that sort of stuff, all that stuff that you don't understand about, will I be here next year? And there's still a part of me that thinks like that. Probably not as bad, but every time you go for a scan, that's that worry of what's the scan results gonna do? Is it come back? Is it gonna affect me? Is it gonna catch up with me now? So having something that is always present and never goes away affects you mentally. And yeah, it does change you. I know I'm not the guy that was 15, 20 years ago before cancer. I'm certainly more aware of it now, and have seen a lot of friends being diagnosed and unfortunately have passed away from it. But that being scared, I don't think that'll ever go away. Look, I got caught. Just one of those things. I didn't respect it. And one of the things about raising the awareness of suntan lotions, because it's happened to me, it can happen to you. My advice to anybody is, if you've got any moles that you feel that don't look right, just go and get them checked out. And I say to anybody, it costs you nothing to get a mole checked out, or anything that you feel doesn't look right, and just do it for yourself and your family.